Hello everyone! In this video we are looking at the latest 3-minute blitz game between Hikaru Nakamura and Magnus Carlsen played on chess.com, in which they both play bad opening moves. Hikaru starts with a3 and Magnus Carlsen, not to be outdone, plays g5, which is the worst opening move you can play according to Stockfish. If you have it ranked all its opening moves, you will see g5 at the bottom of the list. Just an abysmal move. Now why are they playing like this? Well, they're just having some fun, and maybe they're not in the mood to try to answer the question, who is the best blitz player on the planet? This way, if one of them loses, they can say, I was just messing around, I played a bad opening, that's why I lost. I don't know. But Hikaru at this point says, okay, I'll start playing good moves. He plays e4. c5 by Carlsen, d4. C takes d4, queen takes d4, and now the rook is under attack. So Carlsen blocks that with the knight. Now bishop takes the pawn on g5, and Carlsen plays knight c6, hitting the queen, which drops back to d3. Now he goes queen b6, targeting b2. And here, Hikaru moves the bishop back to c1, which is not the best move. I don't know why he didn't just take on f6, because that does protect b2 for the moment. After he takes f6, queen b5 is the move Stockfish suggests. There's no queen takes b2, and look at the black pawn structure. Really bad. Even trading queens is fine for white. White has a totally winning position here, according to the engine. But Hikaru plays bishop c1. Just defending that way, just underdeveloping. I don't know. Knight g4 by Carlsen, attacking f2, so knight h3 defends. d6. And knight c3, we have some normal developing moves. Then we have knight g to e5, attacking the queen, which moves to b5 now. Queen takes, bishop takes, and now Carlsen goes ahead and takes out the knight on h3, giving Hikaru the bad pawn structure. And at this point, white's advantage has dropped to maybe a half a pawn. Stockfish is not impressed at all with the way Hikaru's been handling this position. a6 from Carlsen. Bishop drops back to e2. Knight d4, threatening the fork. King d1 defends. Knight takes the bishop. Knight takes. And at this point, Stockfish says the position's dead even. So Hikaru is not making the most of his golden opportunity in the beginning of the game with Carlsen's move g5. b3 here. It's kind of an odd looking move. I guess knight c4 is being prevented. That's what it's all about. Rook to g8. Bishop e3, b5, we get a4, wants to open up a file for the rook. Nope, Carlsen plays b4. And now this pawn is a weakness, but after a5 by Hikaru, this pawn's kind of weak too. And this pawn, but so is this pawn. Now e6, rook to a2, it's kind of odd, adding some defense to this pawn here. Bishop e7, knight g3, and we got king d7, king e2. The bishop goes here with a threat to that pawn if this rook is to go anywhere. We got rook d1. This pawn is now pinned. Rook b8 by Carlsen, defending this pawn for the moment. f4 kicking the knight, knight c6, and then bishop c5, taking advantage of that pinned pawn. It can be defended further with bishop c7, but here there's bishop takes d6. Bishop takes e5. We'll win the piece back. That bishop is pinned. King c7, stepping out of the pin. E takes d6, getting the passed pawn. It's kind of scary. Now here Carlsen makes a blunder. He should have played king d8, but instead he goes king d7. It's a very human thing to do when you don't have a lot of time to keep the pawn from advancing any further. But here, Nakamura finds knight to e4, threatening two different forks. Knight f6, as well as knight c5. So Carlsen answers the threat of knight f6 by rook g2 check. King goes to f3, takes a pawn, but then knight c5. King goes back, and instead of taking this pawn, which is a good move, rook g1 is played by Hikaru with a nasty checkmating threat. That has to be addressed, and at this point, Carlsen ran out of time. Let's see what happens if he tries to take this pawn with check and then keep checking the white king. The king will go this way, and it will eventually hide over here on c1. And at this point, the checkmate threat will have to be addressed. So maybe f5. If you try to go king f8, there's going to be the fork. You can't defend that way. So you got to move the f pawn, I guess. But then knight takes a6, hitting the rook. If you go to b7, there's knight c7 check. King moves, you just start pushing the pawn. And if the rook tries to go in front, guess what? There's knight b5. It's really bad. What else can you do with that rook at this point? Maybe you put the rook here, but then we'll go here, check, king moves. I think you can even just take the rook. The computer says that knight c5 check is even stronger. And whatever happens, this pawn's going to start going forward. But this move here, just rook takes d8 check, king takes, knight c5. Now there's two passed pawns. I guess, what do you do here? It's kind of nasty. You want to try to get over it. You can't really go anywhere with your king. This pawn's going to be coming. Yeah, black's completely lost. So Carlsen, he ran out of time, but he was losing anyway. So, very nice by Hikaru. Carlsen could try to use the excuse that, well, you know, I played g5 at the beginning, which is the worst move possible. Hikaru's move wasn't great either, a3, but it wasn't losing. g5 is considered losing by the engine. But that excuse doesn't really hold up, because by the middle of the game, somewhere around here, the engine said the position's dead even. So from this position, a dead even position, Hikaru just outplayed him. Now, I don't know how much time Carlsen had left on his clock by the time they got to this position. So that's the one thing I don't know. I don't have that information in front of me. But Hikaru certainly is insanely good at blitz. It's going to be interesting to see more games on chess.com. Carlsen's been playing there, so we're probably going to see more. And I hope to review some of those games. Hopefully they're a little more serious than this one. But I gotta say, these weird openings are fun. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. And check out my other videos where I do more in-depth analysis. This was kind of a quick one. Now if you want to stick around for about another minute, you can see how Stockfish thinks the game should go after this weird opening, a3 followed by g5. This is what the computer considers best for both sides. Check it out.